Thank you so much for having me today. Really excited to be here. Hopefully my screen looks good to you guys. If anyone has any issues, let me know. Like Sydney said, my name's Rebecca. I am in the Commissioner's Outreach Office at the Department of Labor, and I'll be talking about multiple changes to the job protection laws that impact you and your employees, as well as updates on how to report unemployment insurance separation. I'm joined here by a few of my colleagues at the department, and I'll specifically call out Darlene Wilson. She's an assistant director in the UI division, so she has full reign to jump in, correct me, help answer any questions you have about the UI portion of the presentation. So thanks, Darlene, for being here with me today. Um, so, the first thing I will remind us about is paid family and medical leave in New Jersey. No changes have happened to the benefits, but I think it's important context setting. So, you might be familiar that most employers in New Jersey are covered by these laws and must set up payroll contributions into our insurance programs. These are called temporary disability insurance. This can provide up to 26 weeks of benefits if you need time off to care for your own health condition, including pregnancy and childbirth recovery. A medical certification is required to determine the length of the leave. The second program is family leave insurance. So this is to care for to care for a loved one or to bond with a new child or to cope with domestic or sexual violence. And that's up to 12 weeks of benefits. You may need a medical certification depending on the type of leave. And for maternity leave, you could use a combination of temporary disability insurance to care for your own condition, to be pregnant and recover, and then transition to bonding under the family leave insurance program. So these are the cash benefits that your employees could be eligible for. There are earnings requirements. They're pretty low. It's $15,600 for claims that start in 2026 in the first four of the last 5 quarters. So even if you work part-time, you could still be eligible for these benefits. And we have more information directed to employers on the link below. Um, With that context, I think it's important to talk about that job protection, the requirement that employers hold an employee's job has been expanded, and these laws went into effect in July. And this helps workers who work at smaller employers, who are newer employees. It might help some part-time workers and employees receiving benefits to cope with domestic or sexual violence and more. So the laws have been expanded, and that's what I'll cover by legislation, and that's what I'll share with you today. So as a refresher, these are the two job protection laws we started with before July 17th. The first is the Federal Family and Medical Leave Act, FMLA. This is a job protection to cover your own health condition, including pregnancy and bonding, as well as to care for certain family members. It applies to employers with 50 or more employees within a 75-mile radius or government employers of any size. There are hours worked requirements. You've had to have worked there for 12 months, 1,250 hours, and this refreshes every 12 months. And it's enforced by the U.S. Department of Labor, so this is not a New Jersey Department of Labor law. And then we have the New Jersey Family Leave Act. This is up to 12 weeks of job protection to care for a loved one or bond with a new child. There are employer work and histories requirements as well. And it's enforced by the Division on Civil Rights. So again, not the Department of Labor, New Jersey Department of Labor, but you can imagine how it might overlap with our cash benefit programs. So the New Jersey Family Leave Act is where one of the first big changes happened on July 17th. So now under this law, more workers qualify for job protection. So before it only applied to employers with 30 or more employees. Now it's 15 or more employees. The work history requirements used to be 12 months with an employer and 1,000 hours. Now it's 3 months and 250 hours. So you can see that more of your employees may be covered and more of you may be covered if you're, between that 15 and 30 range. You're now covered under this law. Again, this is enforced by the New Jersey Division on Civil Rights, not the New Jersey Department of Labor, but we do work closely with them to share this information. In addition to the Federal Family and Medical Leave Act, or FMLA, and the New Jersey Family Leave Act, FLA, there's now a new type of job protection. A worker's job is protected by TDI FLI law, those cash benefits I talked about earlier, during their leave if they receive benefits from the state or a private plan, and their leave is not already covered by FLA or FMLA. And when their leave ends, your employee has the right to return to the same job or an equivalent job with the same pay, benefits, seniority, etc. Something to note is this law just went into effect. There will be a rulemaking process, so things may change in terms of policies and procedures. So that's just a general caveat. Important to note what has not changed. FMLA, there are no changes to the federal job protection law. Eligibility for the cash benefits also has not changed. The reasons an employee can take those cash benefits, they can take the job protected leave, has not changed. It's just that now more of an employee's leave could be covered by the law. I'll quickly cover how these laws might fit together. So, this is an example of an employee who works for 50 or more, with an employer of 50 or more employees during their maternity leave. So, for the part of their leave where before they give birth and they give birth and recover, they can take temporary disability benefits for their own condition, to be pregnant, to recover. They could get TDI benefits, and then that leave could be covered under the Federal Family Medical Leave Act because their employer is big enough. And then when they transition to the bonding leave, they could get family leave insurance benefits, the cash benefits for bonding to care for someone else, and that could overlap with the New Jersey Family Leave Act. So that's when all four of these programs align. Okay. Um, For smaller employers, it might look a little different. Before July 17th, no, there was no job protection because the employer size was too small. Remember, FLA was 30 or more employees, FMLA was 50 or more employees. But after July 17th, this employee would have job protection for the entire time again because even though their employer is too small to be covered by FMLA, if they receive TDI benefits, they'd be covered by TDI job protection now. And then when they transition to bonding, they would be covered under the Family Leave Act because the employer size is now smaller and it's 15 or more employees. I know this is a lot of information, but after this presentation, you're going to get all of these resources, including a webpage that details all the changes that happen to job protection, a webpage that details all the different types of job protection, as well as an interactive coverage checker where you or your employee can put in information and it estimates if you're covered by the New Jersey Family Leave Act or the Family and Medical Leave Act. And then there's some FAQs for both employers and employees, and we're consistently adding more to these, so you can take a look at them now and then check back in a few weeks, a few months, and see what's been added. Um, I'm going to now go into the information about UI separation. So a law passed in 2022, I believe, but now we have the portal where employers are required to submit separation information. So, like if an employee quits or is fired or whatever the reason, within 7 days of a worker separation, or within 7 days from when you received notice that they filed an unemployment insurance claim. This is important for the department because it helps us determine why someone is no longer with you as an employer, and it helps us make a determination on if they're eligible for unemployment benefits. You must register with a system called Employer Access in order to use the new online employer response portal. And I'll show you in a minute where to go to do that. So to report separation, you would log into your employer response portal. You would select the employer that has a separated employee. You would select yourself. You go to submit a new separation tab, and then if you received a mailed notice about separation, there would be some information that you would need from that mailed notice to enter. This website that is linked below, you'll get that list to that website as well, and it has a bunch of FAQs and more details on this process. And this website is where you go to learn more about employer access. This is the login credentials, the account you need to be able to report the UI, unemployment insurance separation. So we have more information on that website as well. So again, you're going to get a list of 5 or 6 really important links that you can click through, learn more about, and then you also have my email here if you have any individual questions. I can't provide like individual legal guidance or anything like that, but I can help answer any general questions you have.